Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Flesh and Blood Unseals. My name is Chris. I'll be your host tonight, and with us we've got Isaac Jensen. Wait, no, Jessen?
Jessen, that's right.
Jessen.
Thanks for
Sorry
having
about
me, Chris.
that. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, Isaac. So you're here to do a little deck tech with us. Before we find out who your favorite hero is, what qualifies you to do a deck tech with us? Tell me about your experience with Flesh and Blood.
So deck techs and deck building is one of my favorite parts of the game for sure. So I'm very excited to just run through the nitty gritty. I started playing a year and a half ago about. My buddy Taylor got me into the game, and we started a podcast about it right about the time that Crucible released.
Oh, it's about the same time I got into the game.
Nice.
What's the name of the podcast?
The Attack Action Podcast.
Attack Action Podcast. All right.
Yep. We make 2 episodes a month, and we have a sister podcast on YouTube also that we do 1 episode a month. So check us out.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I was actually on this Leviah deck throughout the the chain Monarch meta, and I was going to take this to Nationals right up until Lightning Briar came out.
And Lightning Briar was where I met you, if you will. Well, you didn't meet me. I was just watching you play on in that top 8, and I was very impressed to see the one Lexi hit that table.
Thanks. I was trying very hard.
Yeah. How many Briars was it? It was I think it was 7 Broomblades and you, right? Or was there an Oldhim in there?
Yeah. Yeah, 1 chain, 6 Briars, and a Lexi.
Yep. Oh man, brutal.
Yeah. I was turned out I was well prepared for that tournament though, as you know, it was just a sea of Briars. So I was pretty fortunate in that I saw a lot of good matchups throughout those 2 days.
Mm-hmm. And do we don't want to rehash how you lost, do we? We don't want to talk about that draw. I'm sorry, man. That hurt so bad watching that. I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
thanks. You had him cornered.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. There were a couple decision points around that play that I think I could have taken a little bit better lines and stuff. So I've thought about it afterwards, but it happens. And with a character without a weapon, it also happens.
Yeah. If you don't get that arrow.
Yeah. And it's all good. That kind of thing happens. It was just unfortunate, the timing of that particular hand, because I'd had off hands, throughout the weekend, but just that particular moment was it's tough to take, but it's all good. There's some variance in the game, and you try to mitigate that or play around it with your deck building.
That's one of the cool things of the game, is that there is that variance. And I mean, if you can just guarantee a win every time, then everybody would just go online, net deck every just grab the same deck, and they'll just go smash, right? Like,
yeah, it keeps it exciting.
Got to have that variance. Got to have that brain that changes the piloting of the deck, and really, yeah. Anyway, so let's Levia, or is it Leviah?
I say Leviah. I think James just said whatever you want. It's your character. You just call her whatever you want.
I mean, I guess, but that answer is so hard for me because, like, somebody came up with this character. I want to know what they say her name is. Like,
that's a very good point. How do you say it?
Well, I was saying Levia. And then I heard a lot of people saying, "No, it's Leviah." And then I thought I heard James say Levia himself, and I was like, "Well, whatever, Levia. It's Levia." But
maybe it is Levia.
I don't know.
I say Oldheim because I just like it better than Oldhim. But
him old.
That's probably wrong.
Yeah. Some of these names are interesting. Did you see the new Everfest card that came out? Macho.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Macho something. Macho
It's like,
nachos. What every time I
yeah, or
see it.
like the big macho or something like that.
Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, it's just hilarious. Some of the names, man, I'm just like, oh, geez, really?
Yeah.
All right, so Levia, Shadow Brute, way to be, right?
Yeah.
Are you more CNC than Blitz, typically, or?
Oh yeah. I don't really play Blitz ever. I mean, to each his own, but I I think Blitz is a little bit unbalanced in this game, and that's totally fine if sometimes my friends and I will play a Blitz tournament or whatever, and if you're just like in it to have fun and just whatever, who cares? Blitz is just fine, and it's a lot more new player friendly. But yeah, I think that they designed this game around CC and limited. I don't think Blitz. Some of the imbalance bugs me a little bit once you get to a competitive level. So I stick to strictly CC. It's just
That's
my
fair.
cup of tea.
Yeah, that's fair. It
Yeah.
definitely, excuse me, gives you time to kind of stretch the legs on the hero a little bit before getting whomped by an OTK deck or something, right? It's like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of CC games, I will be under 20 life and my opponent will be over 20, and then I'll win just because that's the strategy of some heroes. But in Blitz, you'd be dead in every single one of those. So
And
I
Blitz,
like
you're
a
dead.
little bit of room. Yeah, a little room to breathe.
Got it. Got it. All right. So here's the deck here. We've got Levia. We've got some stats. You wanna say anything about these stats? It's kind of even on your pitches there. A little more red
Yeah,
than.
it's a pretty resource hungry deck, and you can have good tempo plays like playing out an endless maw for 2 cards. That's 9 damage, but um, it you can switch between kind of an aggro build and a combo build, and in the combo build you need quite a lot of resources for your big blood rush or art of war turns.
Mm.
I also run the claws, so there's a lot to pay for between the claws and playing cards out of banish and some of your more expensive, again, endless maws, how from beyonds, all that. Some of her blues are also pretty functional, and a lot of the yellows are just they pay blood debt. They're a sixer. They're yellow.
Mm.
Just kind of ticks all the boxes there.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Let's work down the list here. So you got the claws or the club, huh? Just kind of depends on the matchup, or.
I have the meat axe only for the Kano matchup,
Ah.
which I actually don't. I thought that it was going to be horrendous, but I don't mind that matchup too much. And I don't even know if you need the meat axe actually, but you can't block to fill your graveyard. So I bring Norman 3 and the meat axe just to have an earlier game in case you don't draw your CNCs or your cards that you can't play before your graveyard's full.
Mm-hmm.
So the meat axe kind of gives you a little out there. You can block and swing that. But yeah, that's all that's there for is Kano.
Got it. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to be the claws every time, huh?
Yeah,
So,
it's pretty much built for claws. I mean, Hexagore builds are quite a lot different because you need to have a lot of go again and give cards go again. So whatever, lead the charge, shadow puppetry, all those. I don't run any of that.
got it. Okay. All right. So equipment. Any? Let's see here. Ooh, we got the gloves. I love it. I love
Yep.
it. So you always run the gloves?
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. Some games you have to roll, and usually end up rolling once or twice. Sometimes never, rarely more.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a crucial moment and you whiff with Leviah, you take blood debt and lose, as opposed to Reinar. So
Right.
you have to have the gloves there. Also, the gloves do fill your graveyard, not quite in the way that you want, but that's another note, I
Yeah, that's a
guess.
good point. Yeah, you get something in the graveyard if you have to.
Yeah. which I did do one time. I think I had to pop them to reroll, so I would have 3 cards in my graveyard.
Oh wow.
But that's not the spot you want to be in.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Okay, got the husk. Very nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
Of course.
so I mean, you see this get played a lot with chain, but is this pretty standard with Levia as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's Tunic or Barkbone if you're playing a more aggressive list, but I think the husk is pretty crucial. And with Leviah, you can turn off its blood debt every turn, whereas running it with chain, once you block with it, it's slowly killing you. So it's actually quite a bit better in Leviah in that, you pop it and you're trying to turn off your blood debt anyway. So it's just a free block 6.
Got it. Okay. And then it's it's gone after you use it once, so yeah. Okay. All right. Fair. And as long as you're okay, all right. Yeah, I thought for some reason I was thinking there was something about this card, like it would actually something to do with your life versus your opponent's life. But I guess it's just like once you have 13 or less, it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which you have to manage for sure.
Right. So use it before you lose it, kind of thing, obviously. But,
right. Use it efficiently before they kind of trick you out of it.
Yeah. If you were in Blitz, once again, not much time to use it versus
right.
CC. Okay. All right. Hope Merchant's Hood.
I used to run Ebonfold, and I'm trying Hope Merchant's Hood now. I'm just a huge fan of the Skull Cap for most matchups, but if you're playing a longer match into a control hero or something, and you rarely draw a hand where you can't pay your blood debt and have so much blood debt it would kill you. But I've been trying Hope Merchant's Hood because Ebonfold, it costs 1, and then you banish a card that doesn't really do anything for you unless it's a deep-rooted evil, but it just is kind of expensive and clunky. And Hope Merchants on your opponent's turn, when they're threatening you, you could just dump your whole hand if you don't like it and fish for a new one, and then choose to block and then pay your blood debt or whatever. I think it might be a bit better.
Got it. So it's just another chance to get away from getting smashed by all that blood debt.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of insurance because Blasphemet's always after you.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay, Nolrun Robe, huh?
Yeah, just for the Kano matchup.
Okay, all right, just yeah.
Skullhorn and Nolrun Robe.
Makes sense. Okay, and the scab skins are your always for your legs then.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just the 3 block is really good, and then I mean they pretty much give you 1 extra action point a game, maybe. But with Leviah, you can usually really capitalize on that. So it might be 10 more damage in a turn, which is pretty good.
Once per turn action, gain action points equal to half the number. Are those real?
The boots? Or the leathers?
I'm just reading this going, wait a second. Isn't that really powerful?
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
They don't get destroyed after you. It's a once per turn action. What?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, if you roll a 1, you lose your turn. Which is
okay, rounded
which
down,
is what the gloves are for. Yeah. So
got it.
If you roll a 1 in Leviah, you're going to die to blood debt. So you have to pop your gloves and hope you don't roll another 1. And then a 2 and a 3 is just you're in the same spot you were before.
Yeah.
And then a 4 or 5 or 6, you have 2 or 3 action points. So yeah, I mean, they're really, really powerful, and the 3 block is really good. Some games, you roll it 2 or 3 times and you'll hit 2 or 3 times. Some games you'll roll it, turn 1 or 2 and you roll a 1 and then you have to break your gloves. And so they're kind of offline for the rest of the game.
Because you don't really want to use them unless you can't roll, have to, unless the gloves are there to back you up.
Right. I mean, you can, and I have before, if the game's on the line, you feel like you have to get 2 action points in order to have any chance at all. But yeah, once you have built up your blood debt and,
Yeah.
rolling 1 and 6 is, pretty good odds when you play a lot of rounds.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. And Skullhorn. Destroy it. Draw a card and discard a random. Go again. You play this one for the effect or for the arcane barrier?
It's just for the arcane barrier against Kano. Again, it's really good to have 2 arcane barrier on a piece of equipment. So then I can run scab skins and the gloves, and then Skullhorn and Nullrune Robe, and I have arcane barrier 3.
So I'm missing something. Like, if I were to have arcane barrier 1 on 2 pieces of equipment versus this piece of equipment with arcane barrier 2, which one's better and why? I thought arcane barrier 2 is like you have to pay 2, and you can
Right.
and it will block 2 damage. So you're gonna have to pay 2 to block 1 potentially sometimes, right? On an arcane barrier 2 item.
Correct, but I also
just
run
pay 2 on your arcane barrier 1 to block 2.
So with Kano, who will threaten like 5 arcane damage.
Like single null rune pings or whatever, right?
No, with Kano, it's just 5 at once. So you have to have higher arcane barrier in order to block 3 of it.
Okay, so
I do have the Nullrune Hood for the Viscerai matchup, where he'll ping you for a bunch of individual Null runes.
Okay, Viscerai is the one
arcane damage.
Yeah.
So against Viscerai, it's just a bunch of instances of 1, so you only need 1 Null rune. Mm-hmm. It's just for Kano, who goes taller.
Got it. So
with arcane damage that I have that.
So if you need to block, like if they come at you for 5 arcane, can you pop arcane barrier 2 on your Skullhorn and arcane barrier on your hood as well? And block
on the robes. Yep.
You can't pay more than once per piece of equipment to block, right? So it's just like 3 is the max you could block if you had 1 and 2 on your equipment or something.
Yeah, that's correct. So if Kano comes in with 6 arcane damage, I can only block 3 of it. Some people like Nullrune 4, but you just choose 3 because you can pitch a blue. It's pretty efficient. Pitch a blue, block 3.
Got it. Okay. All right. So I think I got most of the equipment. Makes sense to me. So I like to treat these as kind of a 101 as far as like how heroes work and stuff. Let's just give like a quick 30 seconds on blood debt for those that aren't aware.
Oh, sure.
So a billion cards in this pile are going to have blood debt on them. And at the beginning of your end phase, if it's in your banished zone. Banished zone was that the first time it showed up? Was that Arcane Rising that it showed up, or was it?
Yeah, I think so. So there's a number of actually Katsu, the Katsu fetch for Welcome to Wraith.
Oh, okay. So even all the way
first
back
time. Yeah, the first time an attack hits, you can fetch a card and banish it and play it that turn. So, and then in, Arcane Rising, there Kano banishes off the top, and Art of War banishes. I think in Monarch, though, is the first real instance of utilizing your banish zone.
It sure
as kind of an additional
felt like a
resource.
new thing to me at that point. I was just like, "Whoa, what is this? All right, I got to figure this out."
Yeah,
the square's been on the map the entire time. I just wasn't really paying much attention to it for the most part.
Well, before it just felt like other than your discard, just a place to put something,
Yeah.
Like when Katsu fetches an attack, it's just somewhere to set it until you play it. But Chain and Leviah utilize the banish zone quite a lot.
Yeah, now you gotta have to so you get this card, it says blood debt on it. This thing ends up first it goes to your graveyard, and then somehow or another it ends up in your banish zone. Right? And then once it's in your banish zone, Um, you're losing life to it every turn. That sounds kind of
Yeah,
painful.
seems crazy.
What's the advantage to all this? Why would I want to do this to myself?
Right. So Leviah's only hero power is that if you have banished a card with 6 power or more this turn, you don't pay your blood debt for that turn.
Okay.
So once you have quite a lot of blood debt in your banished zone, you need to fulfill this condition in order to not take a lot of damage. And the upside of this is that a lot of Leviah's cards are below curve. Right, so the one you're just looking at, Boneyard Marauder, is 1 for 6.
Mm-hmm. So
it has an additional cost. Yeah, it has an additional cost in that you have to banish 3 random cards from your graveyard, which is an additional cost, but it also will satisfy Leviah's, or turn off your blood debt. So it's a boon later on. Earlier, like turn 1 of the game, this card's unplayable, but later on you want these cards to pay your blood debt.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so Boneyard Marauder, pretty straightforward. Command and Conquer. Is this like a must-have in a Leviah deck?
No, it's not part of your engine, but one nice thing about it is it's a 6er, right? So you need a certain density of 6 attacks in both Rhinar and Leviah for their different abilities. But there's another ratio in Leviah that's kind of nice. It's that cards that you can play before you have your big blood debt engine running. Like later on in the game, you'll have a pretty full graveyard, and you'll have some blood debt cards and some cards that you can play out of banish, and you have this whole mechanism that you keep running and try not to take blood debt. But earlier on in the game, turn 1 or 2, it's nice to just block and play out a Command and Conquer, and you're not at risk of blood debt, or you don't have these other requirements. And Command and Conquer is quite powerful, as we all know. So
yeah. Anytime you can jack somebody else's arsenal is a good time.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it remains powerful throughout the game. There's turns where you can play something to satisfy your blood debt and then play a Command and Conquer. So it has a lot of utility. I think it's worth the slot.
Okay. All right. Dread Screamer. Oh man, that art. Oh.
That card's hard to look at.
It's so brutal.
Yeah.
Oh, who drew that? Mikhail Spillhaufer? Man, my hat's off for it's creepy, right?
Yeah, it's one of the hardest cards to look at in the game, I think. And yeah, that guy who drew it, sat there for hours looking at it.
Brutal.
Yep.
All right, so you've got a banish for this card as well. So just like the Boneyard Marauder, turn 1, you're blocking with it or nothing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
This is one of the best cards in the deck, though, because it's a 6er and it pays your blood debt and it has Go Again.
Yep.
Which is something you're really after.
Yeah, I have very limited experience with the hero, but the couple of times I played my wife, I quite enjoyed pulling out Dread Screamer. She didn't, but
yeah, I'll bet.
Comboed up nicely. Endless Maw. Banishing 3 for this one too. But this will go 9 on you. Nice. Okay. Paying 3 though.
Yeah, but still a 2-card hand for 9, or part of a bigger combo. It's just a huge value, right? Like pays your blood debt, block with 2 cards, pitch a blue, swing back for 9. It's pretty incredible value, really. 2 for 9 is pretty good for, I don't know, most characters in the game, I think.
Seems fair, yeah. If you're getting better than that, are there any better?
I don't know. You could play 2 free 4 attacks, but that's only 8. So probably not, maybe. Another thing about these, Endless Maw and Dread Screamers, they're all 6 attacks. So once you play them, they also go into your graveyard. You can block with them, fill your graveyard, play them, fill your graveyard, and you're always trying to keep a good ratio of 6 attacks in your graveyard so that when you play something like this to banish 3 random cards and pay your blood debt, you want there to be a lot of 6ers so you don't whiff.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. You got one ghostly visit in there.
Yeah. That card's great because yeah, exactly. And for a blue, you could play a Dread Screamer with Go Again, and then the one floating, you can play Ghostly Visit. Another 2-card hand, because Ghostly's in Banish, so a blue and a Dread Screamer is a 2-card hand for 10 total with that combo.
Oh, that's brutal. See, nobody sees that coming, right? They got you down to 2 cards. They're like, oh, this is all right. This is fine. Nothing about this is fine. Watch out.
Definitely. Ghostly Visit also blocks for 3, so if you draw it early, you can just block with it to get it into your graveyard to get it into Banish later, you know.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
Right on. Versatile. Okay. I like it. So Graveling Growl after that. 3 of those. Okay, yeah. Or this 3 sideboard.
Three so I run... Yeah, I run 6 of those. 3 yellows and 3 reds in sideboard.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Wait, red and yellow. No blue?
No, because the yellows are also a 6 attack. The blue is only a 5. So, plus you can't play that card unless you've banished a 6 attack this turn. So sometimes it's really offline, but it's a 1 for 7 when it's online. So in the same scenario, you can pitch a blue, play a Dread Screamer, and then that Graveling Growl for 7. That's 13 for 3 cards. It's also quite good.
Not bad for sure. Yeah. All right. So Guardian of the Shadow Realm. Is that sideboarded as well? Is there a specific matchup for that one, or?
Yeah, so I run 1 of those and 3 red unmovables for like the Bravo and Oldheim matchups, or any kind of control matchup where you want to kind of block and leak some damage and pitch stack your deck and see your second cycle and set up big combo plays. Because if you just kind of play out your turns for 12 damage, they'll just block it all up and use up your cards. So if you're pitch stacking and setting up and trying to, build a bigger combos to get over the top, you can use the unmovables in the Guardian to buy yourself some time, right? So if Bravo Crippling crushes you, you can block with an unmovable and then kind of continue your game plan and like kind of survive the first cycle of the deck, right?
Gotcha. So, and I guess surviving to the second cycle of this deck, are at that point, are you just kind of trying to outlast some of the like Oldheim, or are you just trying not to get? I mean, like, what's the end game there?
So there's the aggro package is 3 red Graveling Growls and 3 red Unworldly Bellows, and then you're just like racing. You're just trying to deal damage per turn and block when necessary and just pile in the damage. Like that was the game plan against Chain, against Aggro Katsu, against those kind of decks. Mm-hmm. But again, against Control Bravo or Control Oldhim, you have to pitch and kind of manufacture these turns where you can play a Blood Rush Bellow into an Art of War, and maybe you have some things already in Banish that are ready to be played out. So in those scenarios, you can play, or you can play Claw for 5, go again, Claw for 5, go again. I don't know, Dread Screamer for 8, go again, and then something out of Banish, a Ghostly Visit or a Deep Rooted Evil, and then you're presenting 20 plus damage in a turn, and they can't block it. So against control, the value is damage through, not just damage per turn, right? Because anything under 12, and it doesn't even matter, they don't care.
Makes
So
sense. I guess on the second time through your deck, you've stacked it, so you get to kind of put together a little bit more of what your plays are going to be.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. Huh. Very intricate. I mean, like I admit it. I open a lot more packs than I do play games. Uh, every time I do one of these videos, I just get blown away by how intricate and how in depth this game is. It's absolutely insane. Two different
Oh
people can
yeah.
take this deck that you built here. Somebody else that's not you, they will play it differently than you, and they would struggle to ever play it exactly the same as you. Like it's
Yeah.
just it. The game is so well done that the human factor really is that big of a deal. I think in most matchups and stuff. It's so cool. Anyway,
Yeah, that's part of the reason I love this game is, you can get blown out in a match, like completely destroyed, but it might not be the deck at all. It might just be you sideboarded wrong and piloted it wrong and did the wrong strat, so your piloting and your strategy is, half the battle. Makes it really interesting.
it does. When I try to tell people like this, I came from a Magic the Gathering background. It's like this is chess to Magic the Gathering's checkers. that offends people, and then they try the game, and then they're like, oh, oh,
Maybe it is.
oh. They get quiet. All right. Is there anything else in the Reds you wanted to cover? We should keep moving.
Nope, your show.
All right. Yeah. So let's see here. Arc Smash. You've got two in the sideboard.
Yep, just for dash.
Just for dash, because you want to
Just
take out
smash their items.
All right, yeah, the dash,
which feels really good.
Oh yeah,
Also.
oh yeah. When I saw this card, I was just like, oh yeah, dash. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, Art of War. This is not sideboarded. This is you always go for 3 of these.
Yeah. Well, so this pays your blood debt in a different way, right? You can banish the 6 attack with this card, and it satisfies Levia. This is one of your power combo cards. I usually choose to banish a card and draw 2, and I choose go again. So then your card's up, you've banished a card, you can, you're not going to take blood debt, you can play a Graveling Growl, you can play 2 of your big attacks in the same turn. It's really, really powerful.
That's monster. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see why you definitely want to have 3 of them there. All right, fair. Combos off like crazy. Beast Within.
I love this card, especially in Rhinar. In Leviah, you have less opportunity to discard it to trigger its effect, but sometimes you still can, and it's also a yellow 6-er blocks for 3. So
So anywhere other than the combat chain, banish the top card of your deck and lose a life. Okay. Put the 6 or more put in your hand, so you just end up with a pile of cards in your hand.
No, so if you discard it, like off of Blood Rush Bellows requires you to discard a card at random. Mm-hmm. So if you discard Beast Within, then you banish the top card of your deck. If it's not a 6 attack, it'll stay in your banish zone. But if it is a 6 attack, it'll hit your banish zone, pay your blood debt, and then it will go to your hand. So if you discard Beast Within randomly, it replaces itself in that way, and will also cost you some life. You lose a life for every card you banish this way. But still great utility. Also, just really good flavor. It's a lot of fun to play.
Okay, fair.
It's a card you can play before, you have a full graveyard. Like I was talking about, there's a few cards that, you have the option to play them early. 3 for 6 isn't great, but
at least it's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can block too. Yeah. Okay. Deep Rooted Evil, just 1, and it's sideboarded.
I have 2. One of them is sideboarded.
Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah. All right.
So, yeah, you can play it out of banish if you've banished a 6 attack this turn, and It's 3 for 6, but it doesn't take a card in your hand. So there's a lot of opportunities off of a Dread Screamer or a Blood Rush Bellows, or just, some turn you can end playing Deep-Rooted Evil out of Banish. It's really powerful. I have 2 for if you're playing into Fatigue or, more defensive decks, then you can have 2. And, you play it out of Banish, it goes to your graveyard and then gets cycled back into Banish. And if you have 2 of them, it's just a more efficient engine.
Okay. Growl and Growl. I think we already talked about Growl and Growl in the red section.
Yeah.
It was same. It was different pitch, right? For the red.
Yeah. The yellow is nice just because it's a yellow, and still a 6 attack. 1 for 6 is pretty good.
Can't complain.
Yeah.
Hungry and Slaughter Beast, got the Blood Debt on there. 2 for 6 on that one. But you're gonna satisfy your Blood Debt potentially.
Yeah, just you need a lot of cards in your deck that'll pay your Blood Debt. So this just ups that ratio. It's a 6 attack, blocks for 3, yellow. It's a pretty vanilla card, but it does all of the things a little bit.
That was one of the, when I was building the deck that I played, I felt like there's a lot of cards that at some point might get upgrades in the future, maybe for Brute.
Yeah,
I just got this weird feeling. I don't know.
Definitely, but cards like that, even you can if you have a Blood Rush Bellow turns that pumps your claws, you can play Claw for 5, Hungering Slaughter Beast for 8, because it'll all be pumped. So, it's not a bad card by any means, but just not super powerful.
Fair. Okay. Merc of the Beast. I always call it the Merc of the Beast. Merc, whatever. All right. Into the graveyard from anywhere, banish it. So that's instant Blood Debt payment. That's cool. 2 for 6.
Yep.
Pretty straightforward.
Pays your Blood Debt without taxing your graveyard.
Which is
kind of nice sometimes,
So you're not pulling 3 out. You're just, this card's going directly there, and it's going to take care of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. We've already talked about the Boneyard Marauders, Convulsions from the Bellows of Hell. The card with the longest name in existence.
And the longest text box, maybe. Maybe not, but there's quite a lot written down there.
Yeah, let's see here. So 3 randoms, we're used to that. If a card with 6 or more power is banished this way, the next attack action card you play this turn gains +1 and dominate. I think I know which part I like more. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, solid. So it's going to pay your Blood Debt, and it's going to give your next attack action potentially +1 and dominate. Well,
yeah, I've actually won. Yeah, I've actually won games with this card. It's mostly in there just to be a blue, but if you pitch another blue, you can play this and then a Graveling Growl for 8 or 7 dominate and close out a game. So it does have utility.
Oh yeah.
And like you said, it pays your Blood Debt, and can work in a pinch that way.
It's good to have those cards for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see here. Deadwood Rumbler, not Convulsions. Deadwood Rumbler, Doomsday. Good old Doomsday. So this is sort of like the end game for this deck, right? You're trying to get Plasma Fed out there, start tearing things up, huh?
Definitely, and it's actually quite easy. Unlike with Chain, second half of the game, you're going to be able to play Doomsday no matter what. And, sometimes they'll kill Plasma Fet right away, but it buys you a whole turn. right? You didn't have to block. You just get a 4 or 5 card hand while they were busy fighting Plasma Fett. So it's really good. You can also, because you can satisfy your blood debt with Plasma Fett, that token reads 0, cost 0, attack for 6. If you do this, you can banish a card from your hand. So what you can do if you have Plasma Fett out is block with 3 cards, and then on your turn, swing for 6, and the 1 card you saved, the 1 6er, you can banish it to pay your blood debt. So, obviously this card's a legendary. It has a lot of utility.
Yeah, so once it's out there, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah, okay. Definitely.
Awesome. So what's I guess like they have to, like you said though, they have to kill Plasma Fett at that point. Is there any complete ignorance here? Is there any way to like buff Plasma Fett into not dying?
No, I wish.
All right, fair.
But
maybe an Everfest. Maybe an Everfest.
Yeah.
All right, so Mutated Mass. You can play this one from the Banished Zone as well. Equal to the number of cards in your pitch zone with different costs. In your pitch zone.
Yeah, this is a weird card, but I sided in for the again the anti-control matchups because it adds another blue to your deck, so that's always good. And sometimes at the end of Art of War or Bloodrush Bellow turns, you'll have 2 or 3 cards in your pitch zone. So for 1 cost, you could play Mutated Mass out of Banish, and it would be worth 4 or 6 attack potentially. Kind of dead on its own. Doesn't blocks for 0 usually, but it's just another card that you can play out of Banish and can just pile on more damage to your big combos.
Yeah, I could see where you could almost build a deck around this thing if you wanted to. This is, kind of interesting card, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You'd have to change the entire strategy of the deck, but like I could see some weird stuff you could do with that. Huh.
Definitely. And Leviah has a really powerful recursion effect, right? Where like all of these cards that you play out of Banish, like Deep-Rooted Evil or Mutated Mass, you play them and then they go into your graveyard. And then eventually they're cycled back into Banish. So that's why that's part of this anti-control strategy is if you have Deep-Rooted Evils, you're just going to play them, goes to graveyard, goes to Banish, play them again. And they're kind of just like always recurring and doesn't eat up more cards in your deck.
That's your Leviah only Drone of Brutality.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, man. All right, so I think we're just about there here. Reckless Swing, got a couple of those in there.
Yeah.
Gotta have that.
Just a blue, but can close out games,
Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay, yep. That one's a fun one. And then Wrecker Romp. Stay. This one, discard a random. So, why this one? Is it just because it's blue, or?
Yeah, it's a blue 6 attack that blocks for 3, so it like does everything.
Okay, yeah. So it's got the formula.
Yeah, it's pretty bad to play. You can play it early if you want, but in Rhinar you get the Intimidate for the discard effect, but
right.
In Leviah it's just a blue 6er, which is actually really, really good, but not good to play.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, what's your worst matchup with Leviah? Like, who do you just not want to see show up across the table from you?
So we all know about the ban that just happened, right? But
we do, yeah.
Before that, Lightning Briar is pretty tough because if you attack at like breakpoints 4 or 7 with hit effects, a lot of Leviah's cards block for 3, right? So you're blocking for 3 or 6, not 4 or 7.
Yep.
So you have to use armor or overblock, and it's just really inefficient to block that way. You know, in or like aggro Katsu matches like that can be kind of tough, but I'm actually pretty comfortable with them. You can do just fine. It was specifically that Lightning Briar matchup, because the more defense reactions you sideboard into Leviah, the more diluted all of your other ratios get. So you'll be drawing, you know, a Sink Below and a Fate Foreseen or something, when instead you need to pay your blood debt and have 6 attacks and, you know, like all this other stuff. Some people do run a few Fates. You know, you could definitely side those in if you need to block for 4 often, but I think that matchup's pretty tough into Lightning Briar. We'll see what Briar will look like in the future. But
yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how she's going to evolve. I'm sure there's plenty of things that can be done still, and there's new cards coming out in Everfest. I mean, some people are like, "Whoa, this ban was way over the top," except that they haven't seen what the developers have seen in Everfest yet. So, you know,
totally. The devs are. Yeah, the developers are like a year ahead of us. So when they announce the ban, they're considering Everfest and the next set probably, and looking at it in internal testing and all that for sure.
Yeah, it's not just the tournament play that's happening. There's a lot of other considerations. So
right,
yeah, thankfully.
Yeah,
except for that one time with Duskblade. Never mind that. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, that was a little unnerving, but they've done a really good job, you know, most other times or every other time, so it's all good.
Yeah, that one we made a mistake. It's like, ooh,
yeah,
oh boy.
Awesome. At least they banned it though right away, instead of trying to, well, maybe it'll be okay. It's like, no, this was a mistake.
it would have been Chain instead of Briar, right?
Yeah.
Or I guess Duskblade. Yeah, either way. I mean, pick your Rune Blade, right?
Yeah.
Good times. All right. Well, any final words, or one more time on the podcast? Let's give one more shout out there.
Oh yeah, with my buddy Taylor and Colin. Actually, now we make the Attack Action podcast. Check us out.
Awesome. So how? What's the format? Like, what are you usually talking about on there? Just like news in general, or like decks, or?
Yeah, we talk about the metagame quite a bit, but also just, you know, fun, personal flesh and blood stuff. You know, I think we're pretty serious about the game, and definitely try to like make some, you know, some informative episodes for sure. We do goof around a bit and try to keep it fun.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, I hope to run into you at an event in the future. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, totally. We live on the same coast, so hopefully we'll see you in the flesh.
I was in Vegas. Were you there?
I was.
Yeah, I was running around all over the place, so nice. Played all the side events. I didn't do the main event because as far as actual skill in this game, yeah, not quite ready yet. But
who's your favorite hero?
You know, I was all about Rhinar.
Oh, nice.
And then so when Levia showed up, I was like, all right, this is gonna be fun. Shadow Brute, this is gonna kick ass. And I've only had a chance to play it a few times, but I really do enjoy the deck. So
nice.
I think just Brute in general right now. I'd say I'm still hung up on Brute.
Cool. Me too. It's a great class.
I think there's going to come a time, meta top, they're going to start banning things to stop Levia and Rhinar from just ruling the world. Hopefully. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to hope for bans. But, all right. Well, Isaac, thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate you for taking the time. And yeah, this has been great.
Definitely. Thanks, Chris. It's great to be here.
All right. Well, take care.
All right. Take it easy.